Might be in jail, but at least they're back. That's most important. Might be in jail, but at least they're back. That's most important.
The Queen noted a building with unusually lavish ornamentation, including shining bronze roof tiles and glistening rock crystal window panes. An important clan dwelled there, Gabor explained. The Breckenriggs.
Could you introduce me?
Meve asked.
Perhaps I can convince them to intercede with Bruver on my behalf.
The clan head, Ivor, invited Meve to an exquisite feast. But when she broached the subject of the war raging just outside Mahakam's borders, the dwarf changed the subject at once. Looking around the interior, Meve quickly understood why. The walls were ordained with Nilfgaardian tapestries and rugs. Gifts from friendly Imperial envoys, no doubt. Meve prepared to leave, convinced she had wasted her time, when someone clasped her shoulder and pulled her into a darkened room. Her kidnapper turned out to be a young dwarf. Female, it seemed, dressed in her nightshirt. She introduced herself as Ivor's daughter, Eudora Breckenriggs, and openly admitted she had eavesdropped on Meve's dinner conversation.
Listen, me dad's stubborner than an old goat, but I'll convince him to help ye. For a wee favour, that is.
Mm-hmm. What?
I want you to steal something from the clan archive. Historiae Mahakamorum, 'tis called. See, me dad won't let me betroth me sweetekin Zoltan. Says the codex forbids marrying a dwarf who's left the mountains. But there's precedent. Just such a case described in that document. If I can show it to Da, he'll have to change his mind.
Meve felt sympathy for Eudora and wanted to help her, especially considering the favor Eudora could do her in return. But she fully realized if her attempt to break into the archive ended badly, it would result in a tremendous scandal Bruver Hoog would not soon forget.
Listen, I wish all the best for you and Zoltan.
Zoltan.
Eudora corrected.
Yes, right. Zoltan. In any case, it's too risky. I've much to gain from the support of your clan, but if the mission ended in failure, I'd lose even more.
Eudora shrugged and returned to her bedroom. Meve resumed her interrupted journey, wondering if the dwarf would find some other way to betroth her beloved Zoltan.
bonny homes, eh? Just slightly different from those straw-covered kludges of yours. You're no cold without a beard. What are you poking me for? Ah, scrounging for coin, no doubt. Righty then, take this pouch and kindly get off my arse. Ah, you thundering dope! I told you to hold your horses or you'll shake the hitch loose.
Oh, now you're a bleeding expert, are you? You overloaded the damn cart, that's why it's busted.
A wagon lay strewn across the middle of the road. Behind it stood others, some loaded with gold, jewels, and other valuables, others groaning under barrels of pickled meat. Each dwarf had his own theory about how the accident had come about, and thundered it out to all and sundry, peppered with choice invectives.
An odd caravan.
Meve said.
They don't look like merchants.
Nay, they ain't.
Gabor answered.
Dwarves of the Ferenc clan, carrying gifts for the Drake. Remember Keltullis? When he took roost here, Ferences fought him for near a century. Then the dragon got weary of fighting and they realised he weren't going nowheres, so they cut a deal. He didn't bother them. They give him what he needs.
Well, well. And these offerings they send often?
Every week. Excuse me, got to separate them lads, or they tear out each other's beards. Hey there! Cool your idiot heads!
Gabor managed to douse his brethren's fiery tempers. But the wagon still lay across the road, blocking all traffic.
Queen,
Said Xavier.
it is an easy repair. I've the tools, the parts. Need but your permission.
Of course. Go see what can be done.
Xavier did indeed make quick work of the problem. Within moments, the wagon was rolling smoothly down the road, good as new.
Well, shaft me, your highness.
Said one of the dwarves.
Your engineer's got a pate like stewed meat, but he kens his trade. That's for certain.
I'll convey your words to him. Or at least part of them.
Me and the lads will be on our way now, but first, take this. Bit of gold by way of thanks.
Thank you.
Meve said, accepting the surprisingly heavy pouch.
In wartime, every copper counts.
The dwarf bowed in parting, shook the snow off his beard, then rejoined his caravan. Within a few moments, the wagons had disappeared around the bend. A pillar of smoke rose above the mountains, and a sooty aroma filled the air.
Fire!
Gabor said, then took a deep sniff.
Perhaps a bolt struck some barren trees.
No,
Meve said curtly.
I know that scent too well. All Edirn reeked of it. It's the smell of burning homes.
The Lyrians quickened their gait. Soon they saw a town fully aflame, and a roaring, furious dragon above it.
That's your Keltullis.
Gascon asked, shielding his eyes from the sharp glare emanating from the city.
You were right. Perfectly harmless.
Dinna ken what's got his knickers in a bunch.
The dwarf said, grabbing his axe from his belt.
Queen, we got to make haste to the rescue.
Smother your fears, Sir Dwarf.
Ake proclaimed. Without waiting for Meve's reply, he dropped his lance and galloped headlong towards the burning city.
Follow me! Slay the Viper!
Reynard!
Meve called out.
Have our men wet their cloaks for a modicum of fire protection. We move as soon as they're done. If we don't make haste, Ake will be reduced to smouldering plate.
Your Grace, they are but common soldiers. To fight a dragon...
I know, but we must help them, or at least try.
While Reynard went to pass on the order, Meve turned to Gabor.
This dragon, Has it any weakness?
Fear not,
said the somber dwarf.
except a fondness for raw meat.
Meve nodded and swallowed dryly. Despite the cold, she felt sweat pour down her scalp. Stifling her fear, Meve gave the order to attack, and her soldiers rode into the flaming city. From up close, Keltullis looked even more terrifying. Though enormous, he moved with shocking agility, like a lizard scurrying over sand. With one swing of his paw, he snapped the necks of 3 dwarves, then bisected a 4th with a powerful bite. After that, he turned his attention to the Lyrians.
More of you!
He said, twisting his bloody maw into a horrifying smile.
God!
Behind me! Stay together!
No time for that!
You haven't killed the dragon. It has to be possible.
There's been a mistake. I'm no mage.
Your Grace, we're taking losses!
The vermin's diminished, but be wary! Each blow it answers still with wrath and fury!
Oh, could murder a pint.
The unworthy shall be punished.
Your Grace, he's vulnerable! We must strike now!
Prepare to fight! if you've any honor.
That day, many Lyrians perished, either to the dragon's all-consuming fire or to its flesh-rending claws. Yet their sacrifice was not in vain. Together with the dwarves, they were able to grievously wound Keltullis, forcing him to flee. The howls of the wounded monster rang throughout the valley.
That's right, howl, you scurvy snake! Shouldn't he ever attacked us, eh? Damn fuel lizard!
Meve, that's Vavrenik, elder of the town and all the Ferences.
My regards and condolences.
Eh, tain't so bad. If nae for ye, wouldn't there be a stone left unrubbled? To be honest, when I caught wind some human queen come to Mahakam looking for aid, I said a crocus would sprout twixt my cheeks afore I'd vote aye on that. Gonna be a fear to look in my breeches after, but changed my mind. After what I saw today, what ye did for us, you've the support and undying gratitude of all Ferences.
Thank you. Faced with a Nilfgaardian peril, that means a great deal.
Forgive me for interrupting this tear-tugging scene of interracial reconciliation, but I can't hold back no longer. Vavrenik! Double shice! What happened? Why'd Keltullis attack?
I ken as much as ye, meaning squat diddly. Just flew up, started spewing flames, half the town lit up in a flash.
Sheepshank! 300 years I've been a good neighbour.
What's done's done. Got to think about the future. The Drake's just taking a breather. Gotta finish him off before he's regained form.
Meaning we haven't much time. He heals like an alchemist's pup. And the nearest guards are miles away. He'll be up flying again before they get here.
Aye, that's what I thought. Perhaps, your grace, you'd,
What? Jest you must.
I ken you're tired frae the fight, dinna want to risk casualties, etc. But remember, the beast's sleeping on a bed of gold and rubies. All belonging by right to Brother, of course. But if quibbling some wandered off, he'd nae notice.
Oh no. We fought a dragon once. That is more than enough, thank you.
This shouldn't be much of a fight. You saw yourself, he were bleeding like a leaky bladder. Just gotta deliver the coup de grace.
Then why not deliver it yourself?
Meve, take a gander around. Everything's in ash. Nae a dwarf left whose skin didn't look like burnt porridge. I canna just leave him.
Oh, I don't know. I must give it some thought.
Think about the treasure, too.
So, where is Keltullis' lair?
North of here. It's a vast cavern. Ye canna miss it.
Meve bid farewell to Vavrenek and set out on her way. Did her way lead to the dragon's lair, you ask? Shh. Let's not spoil the surprise. Keltullis' lair was indeed impossible to miss, as would stand to reason, for any space capable of containing a dragon must be enormous. The lair's maw, a black triangle cut out of a vast plain of snow, loomed from afar. Confirming the dragon's presence was the powerful odor emanating from it, one of sulfur and blood.
Well then,
Gascon said.
ready to become a legendary dragon slayer?
My father oft said, never should you count pelts till the hunt is through.
Meve said, dismounting her horse.
It's all the more true when you hunt dragons. He's wounded, yes, but one puff of flame, and we shall be not legends, but corpses. Leave all thoughts of foolhardy bravery behind.
The Lyrians crept across the dragon's threshold. They walked single file, shields raised, watched by bats hanging from the ceiling. Keltullis lay curled up on a bed of diamonds and gold coins turned red from his blood. Seeing how he strained merely to lift his massive head, Meve knew the dragon no longer posed any threat.
Come to finish what your poison began?
The monster croaked hoarsely.
Fine. Do it then.
Keltullis turned over, exposing his vulnerable underbelly, and waited calmly for the fatal blow.
Wait,
Meve said, dropping her sword.
what poison?
Keltullis laughed while squeezing his bleeding side in pain.
So they didn't tell you? Lousy munchkins.
Hey! Watch your tongue!
Gabor yelled.
Sides, I didn't ken anything about it.
Keltullis looked the Lyrians over mistrustfully with his snake-like eyes, then began to tell his tale. The caravan Meve had met on the road was different to the others. This time, Keltullis's meat had been pickled in a special brine, one spiked with poison. As the dragon lay curled up in pain, Ferenc's dwarves entered his lair and smashed his head.
So if I understand correctly,
Meve interrupted.
you're female?
Correct. Same as you.
As if on command, all Lyrian eyes turned to Gabor.
Can you look at me? We didn't peek under his, its tail.
If I may,
Reynard interjected.
these revelations about Keltullis' sex are undeniably fascinating. But I'm more curious why the Ferences stooped to such a dishonorable deed.
That's easy enough to guess.
Meve said.
They were afraid the dragon would soon demand more tribute to feed its young, so they decided to strike preemptively.
A wise and noble deed.
Ache cried.
Evil must always be nipped in the bud.
To the Ferences' misfortune, they delivered too small a dose of poison. Infuriated at the sight of the broken eggs, the dragon gathered its strength and flew to the nearest town. Meve saw for herself what happened then. And now, it was up to her to decide how this story would end. The dragon had killed dozens, perhaps even hundreds, but had been provoked first by the dwarves' heartless cruelty. Did it thus deserve death or mercy?
I understand your pain,
Meve said.
but nothing can justify the massacre you wrought.
Nothing? And what would you have done in my place?
Snorted the dragon.
Pen a letter of complaint to Elder-in-Chief Hogue? They killed my children?
I'd have done the same.
The Queen replied, not hesitating a moment.
I'd have sought revenge, knowing what punishment I'd earn.
The monster looked Meve in the eyes a long while, then dropped its head.
I have no more strength to fight. I have no more reason to fight. Do as you see fit.
Meve raised her sword high and swept it down with enormous strength, cutting the scaled belly in twain. The monster bellowed out a long roar and writhed its tail, scattering diamonds everywhere. Then grew still. Keltullis, the last red dragon between the Great Sea and the Fiery Mountains, had breathed his last. There followed a strange silence. No one cheered, no one clapped. Only Ache whispered a prayer of thanks under his breath.
That was
Gascon said, the first to break the silence.
not terribly epic.
What'd you expect?
Gabor said, arms akimbo.
Fanfare and fireworks. The mountain to quake. He up and died. What else would he do?
I am certain, Your Grace,
Reynard said.
that the poets will endow this moment with the appropriate splendor.
I'm sure they will,
The Queen said, sheathing her sword.
for they are liars.
The Queen told her soldiers to gather a part of the dragon's treasure. Small enough not to bring down the wrath of Bruverhoog, but large enough to fully compensate the Lyrians' losses. And Meve gained the title of Dragon Slayer, though she rarely made much mention of it.
That stings. Got a blow on it a little. Trista Borheed, and what do you get? A singed bahookie. Brown, red, gold. Every dragon's a right bastard. Ah! Oh! Ah! That stings. Got a blow on it.
Meve squinted, the better to see the scene. Several dozen dwarves had gathered on the cliff overlooking the chasm. All were turned towards a ramp at the peak of which stood a barrel.
What is that gathering about?
Asked the Queen.
Have we a feast day?
Nay,
Answered Gabor grimly.
'tis an execution.
A hairy head peeked out of the barrel. The long, pointy nose and ears left no doubt that it belonged to a gnome. The first Meve had ever seen in her life.
Help! Save me!
The gnome yelled.
They aim to kill me! Cast me in the chasm!
Shut your maw!
Barked the dwarf standing next to him, who then shoved the gnome inside the barrel and covered it with a lid.
Your crimes! The sheer weight of him, hey? No lighter punishment is fitting.
The other gathered dwarves nodded approvingly. Two gripped the barrel, lay it on its side, then lifted it to cast in the chasm, paying the thumping from inside it no heed. Meve leapt from her horse, and ignoring Gabor's objections, scrambled up the ramp.
Oi! You're not allowed! Hey, damn it! What do you think you're doing?
I think it's obvious. Preventing the execution.
Ah! Ah! Thanks be to the gods!
Whoa, wench! You've no such right! Judgment's been handed down. Sentencing's done.
Yes, and a cruel sentence it is. One that prompts me to wonder what the accused did to deserve it.
Better to ask what he didn't do, the varmint. Arrived here with his peddler's wagon full of tricks and gadgets. Went from house to house, praised his rubbish to the high heavens. And what's it he sold us? Bombs that go off in your hand. Beard growth formula that makes your hair catch fire. Music boxes for the kiddies. Once cranked, they never plough in stop.
You needed but to loosen the screw in the back and...
Shut your maw, ye roaster. Doesn't he matter all that? 'Cause we'd have forgiven it if he hadn't broken our sacred rules and hallowed customs.
Which ones, if you don't mind me asking?
Enter the smithy, cap on his head, held nails between his teeth, and poured fruit syrup in his beer. Raspberry. Blech.
Just the once, and but a few drops.
You got nothing to explain your villainy, scoundrel. Not a thing. And that's not even the worst. Saved his highest crime for the end. He was in a mine. And he whistled.
Oh, aye, that's bad. Shouldn't have done that.
Aye, he did. Whistled. Through his teeth. And hummed in harmony, a long warble. We all heard it up and down the shaft, and our grand-elders were clear. Death's the punishment. Death by barrel roll.
Wait 1 minute. What exactly does the Four Dwarves Codex say? Which stricture did he violate?
What did... How's it a wench and a human one to boot know about the code?
This human wench has a head, and a capacious one. Well, have you an answer?
The code says thus. 'Tis a crime most grievous to whistle in a mine. Any dwarf committing the cock-up shall be placed in a barrel at once. Said barrel then to be rolled down a mountain.
Any dwarf. The situation's clear. If my senses do not deceive, the accused is a gnome.
Aye, but the code's not to be taken literal like. It's to be interpreted. What the ancient elders had in their heads, why, that's got to be divined.
Nothing to be divined here. You got to be a dwarf to be a dwarf, not no bloody gnome.
So, am I, meaning I'm free to go?
Perchance we ought to let the Elder-in-Chief rule on the matter.
Oh, aye. Oh, for we all ken how old Hoog loves being bothered with such things.
Ugh, fine. Now get the hell out of that barrel and out of my sight, you hairy hamshanker.
My lady, I haven't a way to thank you.
That we've yet to discuss. Perhaps first we should learn each other's names?
Aye, yes, of course. What a prat of me. Barnabas. Barnabas Beckenbauer. To friends, Bibi.
Meve, Queen of Lyria and Rivia.
Queen? Cows in the corn, colour me honoured. Your Majesty, obeisance due.
None necessary. Protocols for use at court, not beyond it. An inventor, you deem yourself. Am I right?
Most assuredly. Though, truth be told, the dwarves saw no ingenuity in my craft. Seems I'm ahead of my time.
Fiery bursts in the palm of your hand. They shall be in fashion one day, to your mind.
Oh, nay, just a bit of misfortune, that's all that was. You see, I mistook mercury fulminate for saltpeter. The vials stood beside each other, see, and...
The details I need not know. But one matter I am curious about. Could you construct a bomb that would explode when desired? For instance, beneath my foe's feet as they stepped over it.
Of course I can. It's simple.
Why then? You wish to show your gratitude? You must join my ranks. Assist me to defeat Nilfgaard.
Defeat Nilfgaard? Pure ambition, that is. But I'd have been a barrel of broken bones at the bottom of a ravine, if not for you. I'll do what you ask to pay off my debt.
And thus, for the first time in Lyrian annals, a gnome enlisted with the army. And though Barnabas Beckenbauer was diminutive of body, this new recruit would prove his worth on more than one occasion.